What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Sir?
The most you ever lost on a coin toss?
I don't know. I couldn't say.
Call it.
Call it. For what?
Just call it.
Well, we need to know what we're calling it for here.
You need to call it. I can't call it for you. Well, it wouldn't be fair.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you did. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it. You know what date is on this coin?
No.
1958. It's been traveling 22 years to get here. And now it's here. And it's either heads or tails. And you have to say, call it.
Well, look, I need to know what I stand to win.
Everything.
How's that?
You stand to win everything. Call it.
All right. Heads, then.
Well done. Don't put it in your pocket.
Sir?
Don't put it in your pocket. It's your lucky quarter.
Where do you want me to put it?
Anywhere not in your pocket. Or it'll get mixed in with the others and become just a coin. Which it is.
You are tuned into God's Property Radio. Here are your hosts, Sam and Dan.
I go by Sam, and welcome back to God's Property Radio, Coin Toss, episode number 19. Lots going on right now. I actually recorded a conversation on the phone with Paul J. Hansen 3 days ago, so that would have been Sunday night from the time I'm recording this intro, outro. Anyway, I was just trying to get an update on, the things that are going on, and then I guess yesterday they dropped all the charges on Kent and Paul. So we're going to have to do another episode here, Dan and I, very soon to get the entire scoop and, make sure that our brothers in bonds here get out of jail. But without further ado, I'm just gonna play my conversation with Paul J. Hansen at the time of not knowing that the charges were going to be dropped, and we just praise God for everybody that has been helping with this, and just the Lord's getting all the glory in this one, and we can't wait to see them walk out of Santa Rosa County Jail. So
Here we go.
Hello, Sam.
Hey, Paul, great to hear from you.
Yeah, I got distracted. I think my attorney came after your call. Anyway, I got doing something. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to kind of get a status update. I haven't talked to you in a good month. I think it has been at least a month. So I just heard the news about the trial being canceled. Could you update me on that?
Yeah, they've officially canceled the trial, so the jury won't even be. The jury's going to be noticed tonight, not to show up tomorrow, and we won't even get dressed out, so we'll be in our oranges in court tomorrow, and they'll entertain the motion's already been granted to dismiss the case, to dismiss the trial, and I think the motion's already been granted to dismiss the charges, 1, 2, and 4, without prejudice, and all we want to do is change it to with prejudice so they can't bring them back on us again. So in that area, that's what we're going to go after, and then hopefully ask for to get release on her at that time, especially me. I don't know about Ken. He might have to go through a different process, and it's different for him. And then we're going to ask for a complete acquittal of all charges against me and Ken.
Okay. So when you said without prejudice, is that a UCC filing, or what is that?
No, nothing. UCC is just a guideline for contract stuff. If you want to enter it into a UCC, is not even law. It's just contract options. You and I can use the UCC in a contract if we want to. This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. without prejudice means that they can. It's being filed now without prejudice. That means that they can refile it in the future and come after us again. With prejudice means that they don't have a good reason for dismissing it, and the judge can just determine that it's just can be too harassing on these individuals, and he's going to forbid them from refiling it.
Oh,
So, for
okay.
example, if you have a trial set up and it's a murder trial, and your main witness cannot show up, or got kidnapped or something, and they just can't find that witness, they'll dismiss the charges possibly for maybe years without prejudice, so that if they ever do find that witness, they can run trial again. But that's a good reason to dismiss it. Now, in another case where you don't have a good reason to dismiss it, it can be viewed as, this thing shouldn't have came in the first place. You guys cannot get a conviction, and let's just drop this thing right now. And that's a with prejudice motion to dismiss.
Okay. I was always curious about that because I had watched different lectures on the UCC, and before we talked to you last year, and I was just curious because I know I had heard them mention like without prejudice, under reserve, and under protest or something, but I don't know what all those things exactly mean. So.
Yeah, without prejudice can mean several different things in different contexts. So, but in a court setting, it just means that the charges can be brought again, or the civil suit can be brought again.
Okay. All right. So as far as this trial and these charges potentially, this could be over. Is what is kind of the thought right now. And then what about the other charges exactly? That the contempt of court and all that stuff. What's going on with that?
Well, the judge could easily sentence me to a year in jail for 6 months on each charge, and I don't think there's any reason why I should ever be sentenced for that. But that's potentially what could happen here. And this particular judge is noted for giving people in this case large sentences. Kent got 10 years. And what's so bizarre about Kent is there is no evidence available that he had a duty to withhold taxes. So if he didn't have a duty to withhold taxes, that entire case is vacatable. Just the entire case is vacatable because they cannot produce any evidence that he had a duty during the time of the 2006 trial to withhold any taxes for the government at all. They cannot produce that evidence today. Therefore, that whole case is vacatable. Everything that's happened since then should have never happened. And, for example, I can't be held liable for showing up for something that should have never even happened. Changes everything. So we're gonna eventually take that into a court of record. We're gonna put the IRS agent in the witness stand. We're gonna force him to tell the jury what he relied upon, that Kent had a duty to withhold taxes from those workers. He's not gonna have it. That's gonna be evidence that we can take to the next level and go for damages.
So do you think? Go ahead.
Yeah, that IRS agent, he's a professional. He knows the law. He's supposed to know the law. He's been well trained. He knew. He knew at that time. He knew.
You know what was interesting about the IRS agent, or I don't remember who it was. Was it Casey Rogers in the original case where she said that what Kent had done was worse than a rapist or something like that? Do you remember that? Hearing that? Well, what was?
6 people put affidavits in saying that she said that, but it's been removed from the transcript.
Right.
Historically, the only time anything's ever been removed from a transcript is when the judge walked up to the court clerk or the court recorder and says, "Remove that." And they're friends, and they go golfing together, they play cards together, they play bridge together, they go to lunch together. The court clerk removes it. It's just completely illegal if that's what happened.
Right.
And it does happen. In history, it has happened.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting was, I forget who it was, and I don't remember if it was Rudy, but somebody was reading through the transcript and found, from that original trial, and found the excerpt of Eric Hovind saying, "I know that this judge or jury or this court thinks that my father, is worse than a rapist or something." Like, so he requoted it, during the trial, which didn't get erased. So that is more proof right there.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you should talk to Rudy.
Yeah, well, they got 6 affidavits that people swore that's what they said. I mean, we can take that into a court of record, and if we can convince the jury that somebody tampered with that record, we can ask the court reporter. We can summon those original tapes and DVDs, and we can go for damages. I mean, somebody. Anytime the court record is tampered with, that means there is no court record. If there is no court record, no accurate court record, there is no court record. That means there was no trial. There was no trial if that record is not accurate. It wasn't a trial.
Mm-hmm.
It's as though it never happened. All that damage is from something that didn't even happen. That's the way it works.
So what do you think? Are you pretty hopeful right now with everything as far as what's on the horizon here? I mean, things looking up, or do you think that this has the potential to come back, like you were saying, if you want it with prejudice, so that it won't bring up these other charges again?
Well, they're completely capable of just bringing up all kinds of charges and destroying people. They do it all the time. So it's just one of those things. It really doesn't make any difference to me if I think they're going to attack me in the future or not. I need to do what's right. Everybody needs to do what's right. If people don't do what's right, it's going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's going to get worse. You don't have any choice. You're supposed to do the right thing, even no matter what the cost. Everybody needs to do the right thing, no matter what the cost at the time. It's just the way it is. That's the way it goes.
Amen.
Life.
Yeah. Well, do you think that this being dropped right now is? I guess it doesn't matter what you think, but I'm just wondering from you personally, like, is it looking up, or do you think like this is part of a bigger plan?
No, they wouldn't drop this unless they're pretty much devastated with that brief. That brief basically said that they don't have any business prosecuting somebody under those statutes for our acts, because we were eventually proceeding toward litigation. The courts have ruled that if you're doing acts that are proceeding toward litigation, that the court and all its officers have to take extreme caution not to hinder those people from doing that. Don't put any.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
We want to leave the door open to the court for anybody to come in and feel confident that they can try to come in and have court without being sent to the gallows.
Mm-hmm.
What happens here is that we try to get our day in court, and what do? We get years in jail. We get threatened with 40, 60 years in jail. It's wicked. It should have never happened.
So I guess this is something they weren't planning on, coming to light, was this whole briefing which has been presented to them. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it caught them off guard, but I think there's other things that would have won the case for us also. We have the right to have our day in court. Our day in court it does include that some man has to step forward and claim that he has had a duty to withhold taxes. As soon as that man steps forward and makes that claim, we say, what did you bring to support your claim? If he doesn't have anything that supports his claim, that's evidence that there was no duty on Kent, and the whole thing is done. The whole thing comes tumbling down, and all we have to do is sit around and figure out what the damages are.
Right.
That's life. it goes. When you take a man and you throw him in jail, that's the risk you take. You don't throw a man in jail unless you follow due process. They just follow due process. Due process is that he has to have a duty. That duty has to be recorded on the record. That's never happened, and they knew that. That's why they kept Kent from being able to file this 2255 appeal. They knew that, and Kent's attorney knew in 2006 that he had a document in his hand to prove that he's already asked the IRS if he had a duty. The IRS told him no. His attorney would not put that document in. His attorney sold him out. His attorney wanted to, but things happen in court. I don't want to talk about it right now because I'll get somebody pissed at me that has the power to throw me in jail or prosecute me for more. But that's going to come out eventually, and that piece of paper, that request, we have the evidence of it. Came straight from the IRS people, and they said that Kent did not have no duty.
Right.
And an officer of the court kept that away from the jury. An officer of the court kept it away from the jury. That means the court did it. Not Kent's attorney. The court did it.
You
Wow.
have 60 seconds remaining.
Hey Paul, do you want to call me back?
Let me just say yeah, I will. I'll just say one statement and I'll hang up. The court loses subject matter jurisdiction when they make a due process violation. That was due to Kent. It was due that document was put in to save him from going to jail. They failed to do that. The case was all over at that time. There was no jurisdiction court after that. I'll call you right back.
Great. Hey Paul.
I'm back.
All right, you're gonna get my last 4 minutes here. So.
Okay.
Or it's not 4 minutes. Sorry, it's $4. I have to put more money on here, but I got 15 minutes. So.
Yeah.
Last thing we were talking about was subject matter jurisdiction and the evidence in Kent's case from the get-go.
Every relationship with the United States is based on a contract. Every single one of them. The military draft, living on their land, asking them to become a corporation, asking them to become a corporate person, asking them to have driver's license, marriage license. Every interaction with the state is a contract. So this duty that Kent would have had to withdraw money out of each individual's wages and hold it back for taxes, he had to enter into a contract with the government to do that. He never did that. He has to be commissioned to do that. The United States has to give him permission to do that. He cannot do it on his own. People don't know that. There's a process you go through in order to withhold taxes from people for the United States. They have no evidence that we've ever done that. They have no evidence that we've ever sought a relationship, a contractual permission to withhold money from these people and turn it over to the government. And we have evidence in the contrary that they told us that we don't have that duty. They're in a horrible position. They don't want anybody to know this. If the majority of Americans don't have to enter into a contract, they can live independent.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
You're not going to be able to go in and get your Medicare benefits or your Social Security benefits or other benefits from them, but you can provide for yourself. I'd rather go to a community that the whole community pulls together and provides for itself instead of joining the United States system.
Yeah.
It's going to be a much more efficient Social Security system in that community. And you don't even have to do that if you don't want to. You can just stay with yourself. That's what America is based on: freedom.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any family members? Have you been in contact with any of your family since you've been in there?
Yeah, a little bit, not much.
Are they on board with you? Are they for you, or are they? Is there like a division at all, or?
Most of them just do not understand that you can live independent from the United States. I choose to live independent from the United States. I think the United States has killed close to 70 million babies. I think that's a good reason for me not to shop at their store.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need another excuse. I don't need another excuse. That's all I need to know. There's a lot of other reasons, but that's all I need. But anyway, I have every right to stay independent of them because that's what the Declaration of Independence established for the American people: independence from government. That's what it means, consent to the governed. That's what I meant. That consent of the governed is a contractual relationship. You got to consent to be contracted by the United States. Now, if you do a crime, you lose your birthright. You lose your independence. As long as I don't do a crime, I can stay independent of them.
So, have you and Kent been able to hang out now that the first trial ended?
Yeah, I put a notice to. I basically wrote a document, a brief, sent it to the head guy here that was in charge of keeping us apart. And I told him I'm going to have him in the court of record someday, and he's going to have to produce evidence that he had authority to keep us apart. And if he didn't have authority to keep us apart, we were going to turn to the jury and ask him for damages. Kent was in my room in 15 minutes.
Wow. That's awesome. Good for you.
Yep. I've done that. I've done that about 5 times. I come into situations where something isn't fixed, the toilet ain't fixed, the lights aren't fixed, for months, for 2 months. I put that document in. I said I want the man that's responsible for not doing this. I want his name. I want to know how to contact him. I want to have his name so I can bring him into a court of record in the future. Those things get fixed within hours. People have been waiting for 2 months to get it fixed. They get fixed within hours. Next morning they're fixed.
Man.
You never go after the jail. You never go after the prison. You go after the man that's keeping it from you.
Mm-hmm.
The man. He's the one you put on the witness chair. He's the one you ask the jury to pay damages.
Right.
Jails can't hurt you. Men in the jail hurt you. Men that work for the jail hurt you. Jails can't hurt you. Government can't hurt you. It's impossible. Agents of the government hurt you. They're the ones the government doesn't want you to know that. You can go after those individuals for their own personal liability. They cannot do something against the law. As soon as they do that, they're out on a limb all by themselves, and you can go out there with the jury and have a heyday.
Wow. So it's like the whole system really sells out the people that are running the system.
They're only allowed to do what they've been given authority to do. Their master gave them authority to do certain things. The people of America gave them authority to do certain things. They can't do anything more than that. They can do less, but they can't do more than that. The American people gave the United States the ability to contract with American people to do certain things. They can't turn that around and frame people into doing business with them. They're forbidden to do that. They can't do that. They got to have consent to be able to. They got to have consent. Now, most people, the prima facie evidence of consent is the Social Security number. You got to start there. Anytime they come after you to try to get taxes and stuff, you got to find out the man that's claiming you owe taxes. They'll say that the Social Security number can start the tax action against you. But what you do is you get the guy in the witness stand that claims that, and he won't claim it.
Huh.
We've done it. He won't claim it. The case disappears.
Wow.
They don't want anybody to know that the Social Security number starts the contract.
Wow.
They don't want anybody to know that. They want everybody to get one. They got the evidence, prima facie evidence of contract, and they go from there. Residency is the same way. If you say you're a resident, when you're in a U.S. court, the definition of resident is that you're residing on land of the government, that the government owns. Same way with U.S. citizen. If you say you're a U.S. citizen when you're in a courtroom, all their laws apply to you.
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
If you challenge that if they have any, you just say, is there any man here that has evidence that I'm a U.S. citizen? They're done. They don't want to put put anybody in a witness chair. You tear them apart. That might be why this case has been dismissed. I was going to put the IRS agent in the witness stand for a day or two and tear them apart. A state attorney will not do that. A paid attorney will not do that. He'll get blacklisted by the United States, and if he keeps it up, he'll get killed. But I'm not afraid of that. I'm going to ask him the simplest questions. What did you rely upon that Ken had a duty to withhold taxes in 2006? They're done. I tell the jury, now watch this question. Watch this question. If he doesn't answer it, that's telling. That's tremendously telling. How come he can't answer such a simple question? You tell the jury before you ask it. I told him to bring this answer to this question 30 days ago. How come he won't answer it? I'll tell you why. Because he doesn't have an answer. Ken never had a duty. If he was honest, he'd say Ken never had a duty. The whole case would be shut right down at that moment. Because that's enough words right there that they committed fraud in 2006 against Ken on the court.
Wow. That's
fraud on the court. Fraud on the court is when you're proceeding as though you have a contract when you don't have a contract. That's big stuff. Big stuff.
Yep. So have you guys, like, I know you were gonna have a counsel, right? For the trial, that was the plan. Not a lawyer.
The phone cut out. A comp what? I couldn't hear the word.
Oh, I said, so your plan was to have a counsel, right? Not an attorney, correct?
Yeah, I told the judge that I always do this. It throws them off big time. That I'm going to handle my own business, and I want constitutional counsel as it is in the Sixth Amendment, as it was in 1791. That's what I want. I don't want standby counsel. I don't want an attorney. I don't want anybody representing me. I don't want anything except counsel as it was defined in 1791. Because Sixth Amendment is the Bill of Rights. 1 through 10 is the Bill of Rights. That means that the legislature never created that provision that has existed before the Constitution was created. And it's a right. It wasn't created, it's a right. It's self-existing. The legislature doesn't create a right. Throws them off big time.
So
big time.
How did you know your counsel that was going to be helping you?
They have to appoint you counsel that's competent in aiding you to proceed through their system. That's due you. If you don't get it, it's a due process violation. It's a Sixth Amendment violation. And what I did is every time I asked my counsel to do something for me, I'd email him. I have somebody email it to him, and then I put it on YouTube. It forced him to do it. He couldn't never say he didn't know. Changed everything. It changes everything when you do that. I was fortunate. I had an excellent man. Excellent man. I was very fortunate. Some of those guys are not so excellent. Ken's first attorney sold him out. Cost him 10 years jail sentence and millions of dollars of damages.
Wow.
Terrible. Kent wouldn't have given $50 million to do that, to go to jail for a 10-year sentence.
Well, okay.
$10 million to go do that wouldn't do it.
So at this point, like this trial's going to get turned over, and these charges that they were going to try you on additionally are just going to go away. What specifically are the charges that you are facing that need to be wiped clean? Is it just contempt of court, or what is it exactly?
No,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
It's just mail fraud and conspiring to commit mail fraud.
Okay. All right. So
Kent did certain acts of it. they claim, and then I get certain acts. That's how they divide up.
Mm-hmm. So the mail fraud, they're still going to try you on that, or are they sentencing you on that?
No, they're only sentencing me on the minor, the misdemeanors, basically, on contempt of court.
That's right.
You only get 6 months in jail for each charge of that.
Okay, that's more clear. I that's what I was asking. So it looks like it's pretty minor as far as what you guys are facing, if you face anything at all.
Yeah, and then we can probably win that on appeal. So we can win the whole case. Kid never had a duty in the first place. We can win everything with this case that started in 2000.
All right, and I'm back, and just a pleasure to talk with Paul again. I'm looking forward to talking to Paul, Kent, Rudy. Just probably have a big party line here once the guys get out. But I know Dan and I will be doing definitely at least one more coin toss after this to talk about things. And so I don't know when that will be, but yeah, you can still go to freekent.com and order a t-shirt. We got plenty of t-shirts left. godspropertymedia.bandcamp.com is where you can purchase the We Demand Hovindication compilation album with 25 songs on it for $5. So just letting you guys know that's still available and that your money still goes to Kent. Yeah, so I will hopefully be joining with Dan on Coin Toss number 20 here to talk with everybody about what exactly is happening, and we just again praise the Lord for all that He's done, and all the glory goes to Yeshua. So until next time, don't buy into what the world is selling.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. All things were made through Him, and without Him nothing was made that is made. In Him was the light, and the light was the light of men that shines in the dark. And the Son is in the Father, and the Father's in the Son. The Alpha and Omega, before it all began. He was in the world, and the world was made through Him, but the world did not know Him. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory. And the Son is in the Father, and the Father's in the Son. The Alpha and Omega, before it all began. Before it all began. All flesh is as grass, and the glory of man as the flower of the grass. The grass withers,